Joining me now, Abe Hamadeh, he's a Republican running for Arizona's AG, and let's just say that's a fairly important position these days, maybe the most important position in the country, and we've ignored it for too long. Abe, okay, people remember that moment. A lot of people were extremely upset at that moment. They thought Fox maybe called that a little bit too early or way too early. Can you explain beyond that why AG is such an important role and why we've ignored it for so daggone long?
Sure, Jesse. Or they might have called it, inaccurately too. I tell people usually, I bring my ballots. I actually got mail-in ballots at my house when I got back from my Army tour overseas. So I had 3 mail-in ballots sent to my house. One of them was for me. The other 2 was one from the previous homeowner. The other one, I have no idea who it was for, who no longer lives in state. So for them to gaslight us and say 2020 was the safest and most secure election, it's a lie. And it's okay to say that right now. So, the AG's office, typically, you're right, exactly 4 or 8 years ago, it was kind of an underrated office. But right now it's been very political and weaponized in a way. And, quite frankly, Republicans have to hit back. From 2009 to 2017 under Barack Obama, Republican AGs sued Barack Obama about 80 times that time period. In the first year of Donald Trump's presidency, the Democratic AGs sued him over 100 times. So clearly the left is much better at fighting back than the Republicans. But this is why we need a new generation of leadership who are unafraid and have a backbone to fight back against Joe Biden.
Hey, we had a little update. We're going to keep people updated. We had a little update last night about Wisconsin. There's a special counsel there, and Georgia. But Arizona is one of those states that doesn't come up as often. Arizona's been all over this stuff, too. What do we know about the 2020 election in Arizona? Not what we think. What do we know up to this point in time?
Well, what we know is that Judge Logan extended the voting registration deadline by 2 weeks. If you remember that was back in October. He's an Obama-appointed federal judge. In that time period, 30,000 new registered voters got registered added to their voting rolls until the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals struck it down, because obviously it's a legislative function. Other than that, right now, Attorney General Brnovich, the current AG, he's had the investigation on his desk for about 190 days. He's also running for U.S. Senate, so there might be political calculations regarding it. But right now, we're waiting and seeing to see if there's going to be any prosecutions. And Dinesh D'Souza, he's got a new movie coming out with 2,000 Mules, and Arizona's going to be featured prominently in it. So I think right now people realize something is off with our elections, and it's time that we reclaim it, especially if by every single metric, our elections have gotten worse in the past 20 or 30 years. We don't get the results in time, which leads to Fox News, possibly making that error on election night. And so when you don't get the results and they start counting the ballots early on, it's really prone to corruption. So this is what's we're trying to fix right now in Arizona.
Abe, you just got back. You were deployed Saudi Arabia 14 months. The news that is out now, Wall Street Journal reported at first, I believe, that Saudi Arabia just stiffed the president. Biden wanted a call with them, and they said, actually not really interested. The UAE did the same thing. Now, whether or not they take that call and declining to take the call at all is quite an insult, is it not?
A big insult, Jesse. And I'll tell you, because I was there under Trump and as well as during the transition under Biden. Let me tell you, when Biden took office, he actually made the MBS role, Crown Prince MBS role. He didn't want to deal with him directly, so he actually shifted that so Lloyd Austin, Secretary of Defense Austin, be dealing with the Crown Prince. But now we are seeing the snubbing. It didn't start from the Saudis and Emiratis. Joe Biden called Saudi Arabia a pariah state versus Trump. That was actually Trump's first foreign policy visit as president to Saudi Arabia. And then secondly, if you actually look at the Joe Biden, when he took office, he designated he removed the Houthis as a terrorist organization. And believe me, I was there, and there were missiles coming in from Yemen. Yemen is quite far from Riyadh and Jeddah. And just the other week, you saw that these missiles actually hit Abu Dhabi in their city center. So clearly, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, they feel abandoned by this administration. And not just with the Ukraine stuff going on now, too, but we have to understand the Iranian nuclear deal. That's been kind of forgotten in all this, because right now it's still going on, the negotiations. And I think they're nearing some negotiations that Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates feel left out in participating in that.
How did you spend 14 months there? It's so hot. I remember when I was in Kuwait, I just wanted to die. It was so hot.
Well, it wasn't too bad. And Jesse, you know, you're from Arizona too, so we kind of got the warm blood in us. So I actually quite enjoyed the weather. It's much better there than to be in Ukraine right now in the freezing cold.
Actually, that's fair. Abe Hamadeh, good luck, my brother. Go get him.
Thanks, Jesse. Appreciate it.
All right. We have a great Light in the Mood next. Let's lighten the mood about gas prices.